Jack, you've had so many creative projects on the go over the last couple of years. You'll excuse me for listing them off here. The White Stripes, The Raconteurs, The Dead Weather, collaborations with the Rolling Stones and Loretta Lynn, acting in Cold Mountain, being featured in 2 documentary films, creating the James Bond theme for Quantum of Solace, starting Third Man Records in Nashville. All this, and you've also got 2 young children. Can you psychoanalyze yourself? What is behind this ridiculous drive?
There's 1,000 reasons. There's 1,000, but I think one I've already said a couple of times in the interview, and I feel like a parrot. But there is this responsibility that I feel to myself and to the art form. I was always turned off when I was younger, when I had skirted around the ideas of art, and I thought about making films, and I thought about doing sculpture, and I just didn't know I was allowed to, and all that. But I did get an immediate bad taste in my mouth for people who did call themselves artists, and just sat around all day doing nothing and used it as their excuse to
drinking Starbucks and doing nothing.
Hey, I do stuff.
But you know what I mean? It's like there was some of the bohemian ideas of it were of no interest to me and almost disgusting to me. Like I always thought, if you are calling yourself an artist, you have even more responsibility to live up to what you're doing than a person who goes to a factory every day and can clock out. You don't clock out as an artist ever. And
but do you have some sort of terminal sense, like that? Do you live every moment now? Because does it come from that kind of place?
I try to. I don't really. In like December last year, I mean, I had nothing planned at all. Nothing planned. And actually, I remember my manager saying, "Well, what are you going to do this next year?" And because there's nothing planned, and I said, "I don't know." And since then, I've recorded about 12 records, albums, and 7 inches from Third Man. Started the Third Man Institution, which now is going to feed me for years. This is a whole new outlet where I can work on projects and have them come out very quickly, and now especially in a single single format. And that's appealing to me. And that's something, if I hadn't allowed it to happen in my brain, it wouldn't have happened physically. And I just don't like stopping those things.
You seem really intent on doing what you want to do too, and that's clear with the Raconteurs. And when you did this, in fact, we lauded you on this show for when you did this Canadian tour, which you went up north with the White Stripes, and it was clear that people wouldn't do this to make money or as some sort of commercial vanity project, but that it's just something you wanted to do. Do you care about success? Do you care about whether something, honestly, whether a record becomes big or not, or is failure something you worry about?
Well, that's a great example of that, too. I mean, if, obviously to go to Iqaluit is just not a good business move, that doesn't even pay for itself. But that show was incredible, and in meeting with the Inuit elders, these are things that would have never happened had we not gone up there. And that's so much more important than to play an arena for the 5th time or whatever it is in whatever city. That's what you do to be a musician, is to share with people and to go out of your way to get someplace you haven't been before, physically and mentally. And I think that's it. It's also the most incredible luxury that I can do that, or we can do that. How many times would a band sit around and say, when back in the Van days, got to be great to tour South America or go to so and so such and such place,
or got to be great to record a new record with a bunch of friends and put it out and tour it immediately.
Yeah.
Do you? What about you, Alison? Do you care about success? Is that something that's important to you?
But what kind of success? Success is doing those things you've never done before. If you can have one of those things in your day every day, that is ultimately the greatest thing ever.
I know I've only got a couple of minutes left with you here. I want to ask you both about something that you said, Jack. You've talked about missing an era where rock stars were mysterious creatures. I don't know if you remember saying this.
I hate the word rock star, but I said something like that.
Yeah, you said you think that an aura of mystery will return in the next 10 years.
I hope so.
Did you say, what's that, Alison?
I said I hope so.
Yeah? Why do you think that we need mystery?
Well, that's the thing that got me so excited about music and artists and things, is that you could hardly find anything about them. You don't know every tiny, intimate detail of their lives. You can't find 6,000 interviews about them on the internet. It wasn't like that. You just search and search for books, search and search for records, and the reason that those people
or even T-shirts.
The reason that those people are so enormous in your imagination is because you had to work so hard to bring them anywhere near you, to understand them or find any information. And I guess the imagination part was huge. I mean, that really adds a lot to anybody.
So do you feel too accessible?
I think everybody is. I think everything is. It's really hard to stop it as much as you try.
So how is the mystery going to return, Jack?
It's going to be even harder to get records to be put out. I mean, a record label is going to have a harder time choosing which records they put out. I mean, movie studios now, they only have enough money to put out, 10 films a year or something. Record labels are going to start doing the same thing, I bet, if it doesn't change. And because of that, all the other artists who don't get put out by labels are going to find a whole new system, a whole new romantic way to get back to it. Because reality television and all those kinds of things like that, where you open the doors and give everybody complete access, is a novelty that people will use up. It'll suck itself dry, really. And in the end, people will miss that romance. But the best thing of all is nobody can stop live music. They can't take that away from me, kind of thing, or from an artist, from anybody, from the fan. That will always last, and hopefully it will always be able for artists to survive.
I mean, speaking of live music, and before I let you go, I have to again tell you that it meant a lot to Canadians that you guys did that tour when the White Stripes went up north to places that even some Canadian musicians don't travel to. And I hope you come back and talk about this because a documentary has been made, that the White Stripes Under the Great White Northern Lights, and it's having its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival this September. You've said it's a more revealing look than you expected. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, sort of talking about the same thing. When we brought cameras around with us, we just thought, well, we're doing so many things. We should film a lot of this just to have. Who knows? And at the end, we just said, wow, it's just so much. And we played 2 shows a day in every city. One was free in the afternoon that we'd made up at breakfast. Today we'll play on a bus. Tomorrow we played on a boat, whatever it was, and on and on and on. And but then in the main shows, and then all the people we'd met, we were picked up on was it White Horse or Yellowknife? Yellowknife, excuse me, I think White Horse. We were picked up by the mayor on the tarmac in a 51 Chevy by the mayor of the town, It's like, I mean, so many interesting things were happening like that. And I think that, we just became a choice between letting people peek behind the curtain, but making it something that, that wasn't just, this giving away of everything, because I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you very much for coming in. Thanks, Jack. Much appreciated. Jack White, Alison Mosshart of The Dead Weather. They've been with me here in Studio Q.